It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi, when you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
Well, a good Thursday evening. Welcome to the Saville Community Sport Centre on the south side of Edmonton, where we have quarterfinal number 3 of the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship. We have the number 1 seed Saskatchewan Huskies taking on the number 8 seed University of Calgary Dinos. My name is Mark Wigeau. Please be joined alongside Kira Lyons as well as Doug McLean. And guys, we have 2 fantastic matchups that already were played today and 2 more to look forward to tonight. The number 1 seed Saskatchewan Huskies, 19-1 in conference play. Doug, really they're a force to be reckoned with, aren't they?
I mean, a steady presence at Nationals. They've missed only 3 times since 2006, so you expect to see the green and white here, and they're here again. And again, a team that is just so dominant and has been so effective over the course of the last 20 years. We don't expect a whole lot different, but they got a tough matchup against Calgary tonight.
Now, Kira, you're a former Husky yourself, so you're quite familiar with Lisa Tomaitis. She's in her 26th year. She won U Sports Coach of the Year last night. She won Canada West Coach of the Year earlier today. We could just talk about her resume for the next 2 hours, but what makes Coach Tomaitis' team so difficult to play against?
I mean, one of the things you alluded to it earlier is just like that calm confidence, right? They're prepared. Like you go from the training in your off season to the preseason matchups to year to year to year, you're always building, and no matter what pieces are graduating, new pieces are coming in, they're always competitive, and you just have that confidence that you're ready to go.
Get to starting lineups and keys to the game after a quick break for a national anthem. Huskies and Dinos, 1 seed versus 8 seed. There you get a look at the Saskatchewan Huskies. I mentioned Canada West champions have a record of 19-1. Let's take a look at the starting 5 for the Huskies. No changes from the starting 5 that won Canada West gold a week and a half ago. It will be Carly Ahlstrom, Taya Demong, Gage Grassick, Andrea Dodig, and Courtney Primo. I'll get keys to the game from both of you. I'll start with Doug. What's the key to victory for this Husky team tonight?
You know, I think really for Saskatchewan, it is about leveraging that poise and patience. This is a team that even as things may not go right, and that happens in every basketball game, it doesn't faze them. I expect with this atmosphere here tonight, even when you have those lulls for moments, it won't affect them. I think that'll be a key for them. Use that patience and that poise that they possess.
Kira, these 2 teams met back in November. Saskatchewan swept both of those games. If it's going to go Saskatchewan's way, what's going to happen tonight?
They're going to take care of the boards, both offensively, defensively, making sure they're not getting any second chances. Calgary likes to play a high pace. They really move the ball and they shoot well. So just being disruptive on defense, not letting them get a lot of open looks, and then no second chances.
Let's take a look at the starting 5 for the Calgary Dinos. They went 16-4 in conference play. They lost to Alberta in the Canada West Conference Finals. Their starting five will be Maya Proctor, Miriam Cohn, Emily Collin, Lilia Skumatova, and Louise Rouse. Louise Rouse, Canada West first-team All-Star, averaging 15.7 points per game. Doug, what is the key to victory for the Dinos tonight?
Well, I think for them it's really about finding their offensive mojo against this Saskatchewan Huskies team. Averaged 82.7 points a game during the regular season, second best in the nation, but in the two losses to Saskatchewan, they scored only 56 and 65, and they only scored 43 in the loss to Alberta in the playoffs. So find that offensive juice and see if that can propel them here tonight.
The Dinos were the at-large berth, so you could kind of say they're playing with house money, Kira, but if it's going to go their way, what does Calgary have to do tonight?
Yeah, I think Doug's completely right. Just finding their offensive mojo a little bit. The Huskies have a fantastic defensive squad, and they're very disruptive. Kind of, like I said, it's a key to the Huskies game as well. But they need to be able to get some clean passes. Like, they're good at getting into the middle of the paint, but then getting that distribution out to the three-point line was really a struggle for them against Sask earlier in the year. So being able to be strong, be able to deliver those passes and get good shots off in a good, timely fashion.
We are almost set to get underway. We thank you for tuning in on CBC Sports, Coast to Coast. As the fans continue to file into the Saville Community Sport Centre in Edmonton, we have a great weekend of basketball ahead. It will be Louise Rouse taking the tip against Carly Ahlstrom. Rouse, I mentioned, Canada West first-team All-Star. Ahlstrom, a Canada West third-team All-Star. We are underway in quarterfinal number 3, and the Huskies control the tip. Gage Grassick, who hit a buzzer beater in this gym in November to knock off the Pandas. Good ball moving early by the Huskies. DeMong in the paint, spins, up, and scores, and a foul is called. Picture perfect start here for the Huskies. They're up 2-0 with a chance to go up 3.
DeMong at the free throw line on the season, 67%, I should say.
Yeah, I was looking at her stats today, and she's 50-40, and then I was like, oh, gonna get into that 90 club over this week. Well, hopefully, high pressure, step up to that. But an unbelievable percentage from the floor for Tay DeMong.
Collin zips it over. Skumatova runs right into DeMong, and it will remain Dino's ball. They're going to have to move quickly, though. Just 5 seconds on the shot clock. And we'll see what they have drawn up. It will be Collin inbound. And unfortunately for the Dinos, they can't control that pass, and it's Ahlstrom to Grassick across half for the Huskies. Saskatchewan wearing the white with green trim. DeMong in the paint. Little too strong. Good job there by Rouse. And here come the Dinos. Skumatova for 3. Comes up short. Dodig in perfect position for the rebound. Hands it off to Grassick. Gage Grassick, Canada West first-team All-Star. Being guarded by Collin. Puts it in the paint, and it's turned over. Miriam Cohn turns on the Jets. Can't finish. Out of bounds, and it will remain Dino's ball.
And it's such a nice defensive play there by Grassick. Like, Miriam is unbelievably fast, and I know she looks fast even just from this perspective. I've seen it on the floor, and it is terrifying, especially coming down on you like that. So good poise and good positioning by Grassick to not take a foul there and also not allow her to score.
And travel one step too many for Skumatova. And the Huskies will inbound 90 seconds into this one.
We'll talk a little bit about turnovers tonight. The Dinos forced the most turnovers of any team in the nation. 31 a game they force, but the Huskies, a team that protects the ball pretty well. 4th best in Canada.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's one of the reasons why the Huskies were so successful against them earlier in the season, because they only turned the ball over less than 15 times a game, and Calgary's is, I think, quite dependent on that press and creating turnovers. And if you don't turn the ball over, then it disrupts their game and their offense, right? Which is kind of leads into why they weren't scoring nearly as much.
When you play against the Huskies, you have a very small margin for error. They do not make a ton of mistakes, and they capitalize on every single mistake that you make.
Well, and their point guards are so strong, but they also have a ton of other athletes that are, oh wow, nice take, that are capable of bringing the ball up and confident with it in their hands.
So far, it's the Thea Damong show. She has all 5 points in this one, looking to make it all 6 as she takes her second trip to the line.
She has been playing unbelievably down the stretch. Like 9 steals in that CanWest final. That was just insane.
And already the second foul on Louise Rouse. So she'll take a seat not even 2 minutes into this game. So their leading scorer on the bench.
Leading scorer and their leading rebounder as well in conference play. So something to keep our eyes on is the Dinos trying to dig themselves out of a hole. As Sydney Milam has checked into the game. Colin loses it, turned over. Grasick across half. Read perfectly by Cone to knock that loose. Strong pass over to Colin. Three-pointer here for Proctor is good. And the Dino bench are ups. They're on the board for the first time. It's a 6-3 Huskies lead.
Third best three-point shooting team in the nation, the Calgary Dinos. So that's another key for them tonight to find some of that offensive mojo, and they get it there from Proctor.
Deflected out of bounds. This will be Huskies ball. They're going to look at head coach Lisa Tomaitis, mentioned won U Sports Coach of the Year last night. In her 26th season, is Thea Damong. 7 to go, spins, fires. A little too strong. Proctor there for the rebound, hands it off to Cone. As Cone turns on the jet, spins in traffic, and really nice touch there by Cone. Cuts it to a 6-5 lead for Saskatchewan. Ahlstrom, really tough shot, can't get that to fall. Milam tiptoes to not step out of bounds. Cone. Colin hits the deck. And Dodig there to pick it up. Grasick makes a nice move.
Nice play.
Puts it on the floor to Primo. Really nice dish and a really nice finish. Saskatchewan opens up a 3-point lead.
But a great job by Primo to create that space and get that seal to open that passing lane.
Well, she's second in the country in field goal percentage, I think, for a reason, right? Like, she puts herself in really good positions and a beautiful pass as well, but good positions and very efficient around the rim.
Actually led the, even better, she led the nation in field goal percentage, over 60%.
Making no mistake, and a foul's called against the Dinos, so the Huskies will inbound. As Logan Reeder's checked in, as Gage Grasick, averaging 13 points per game this regular season. As I mentioned, hit a huge three-pointer back in November to defeat the Pandas right here in this gym. Ahlstrom. That's not going to count. That's a shame. That was a pretty basket.
That was really nice.
Foul called, and it's going to be Pollyanna Story to inbound for the Dinos. Story in her third season.
Story hasn't played. This is her first appearance since the end of January. We have a timeout on the floor.
Timeout called, 5:59 remaining in the first. We're watching the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship on CBC Sports.
Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team Collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
They don't do it for the likes or for the shares. They do it for the fun of it, for the thrill, for the camaraderie, for the memories. CBC Sports, just because they love it.
Welcome back inside the Saville Community Sport Centre. 5:59 remaining in the first quarter of quarterfinal number 3 between the number 1 seed, the University of Saskatchewan Huskies, reigning Canada West champions, taking on the Calgary Dinos. And a pretty good pace to this one, back and forth, as the Dinos looking to tie this game or draw a little bit closer. Skumatova. Good ball moving here as Milam zips it over to Story. And a foul is called. I believe it's going to go against Logan Reeder. It is going to go against Reeder, so she picks up her first. And the Dinos will inbound. Colin. Nice pass to Milam off the glass. And Calgary's going to have a chance to tie this game. Sydney Milam looking to complete the three-point play.
Pretty nice patience on the inbound as that 5-second was ticking near, but she held on, waited for that last look to pop open in the middle, and good conversion. Now a trip to tie it up.
Definitely a skill that's not talked about a lot is inbounding the ball and like understanding what you need to do if you're in certain situations, if you're going to get to 5, like lots of different things that can happen, and a pretty high pressure job at times as well.
Yeah, you're right.
It's certainly something that could look easy until you actually have to do it.
And like picking personnel to like who you want to inbound it as well is a difficult job I'm learning as I as I coach.
3-pointer here for Ahlstrom is good. Carly Ahlstrom, the leading scorer for this Husky team, puts her team back up by 3. Story being guarded by Ahlstrom. Tipped, and it'll be out of bounds, so it will remain Calgary ball. Not just is Kira Husky alumni, she's the head coach of the Nate Oaks women's basketball team here in town. And finishing up your second season, correct?
Second season, and Oss, who just subbed in, had the pleasure of playing or coaching against her at Concordia last year. She stuck out, for sure.
Could imagine. Not a lot of 6-footers out there on the floor, but she's checked in for the Dinos.
The ACAC North Division Rookie of the Year last year.
And a foul called against Calgary. That's going to go against Milam. So Sydney Milam picks up foul number 2, and midway through the first quarter, Saskatchewan leads by 3. Dodig to Reeder. Reeder moves it quickly to Grasick. She takes a look, goes baseline, stops, fires it back to Reeder. Deep 3-pointer for Ahlstrom, comes up a little short, falls right into the hands of Cone. Cone, 3-pointer here for Story, just off the mark. Good job there to collect that rebound. Milam loses the handle, and it's going to be Husky ball.
And as you watch possessions from both these teams, you're already seeing how much Calgary has to work to get a good look. And I'm not saying it's easy for the Huskies, but it's a different need in terms of how they have to operate in the half court than the Huskies are having to right now.
It's just the rhythm, right? And because Huskies are just they work so well and move so well defensively together that they're just very disruptive. It's like every pass has come out, it's like a tip or a touch, and like they're handsy and they're active, and yeah, it's a really difficult defense to come up against.
Story plays give and go with Milam, and Dodig reads that perfectly. So another turnover by the Dinos. Saskatchewan looking to capitalize. And it goes off the foot of Story, so we'll do it all again.
Already 8 turnovers committed by the Dinos. They did come into this tournament 38th in the nation in turnovers committed per game, 21. As we mentioned, the Huskies force a lot. As the Dinos force a lot, the Huskies do as well.
Dodig. Grasick. Nice dish down low. Murphy Weeb has that blocked. Out of bounds, it's going to remain Huskies ball. They only have 6 seconds to go on the shot clock. So again, we were just talking about inbounding. Could be a tricky play here for the Huskies, but Grasick makes it look easy. Alstrom's got 3 to go. Grasick 2. Took every second off that shot clock. Murphy Weeb in perfect position for the rebound. Dodig for 3. Comes up short. Story for the rebound. Here comes Calgary. Cone. Gaich, back to Cone. Spins. And Dodig there, clutch that. So another turnover by Calgary. Alstrom. Grasick. In the paint, off the glass. Pretty looking play there by Gage Grasick. Her first points of the evening, and it's 13-8 for Saskatchewan. Cone. Story and Cone. Play give and go. Proctor can't handle it. A couple players hit the deck. Grasick calmly finds Dodig.
Another like underrated, maybe not that underrated, but one thing I kind of picked up on with the Huskies too, if there's a 50-50 ball, there is a very high percent chance that they're coming up with it. Like, they have so many just high compete players on the floor and like no fear on diving on things, and just they always want the ball in their hands, and like if there's a 50-50 and a chance, like they're going to get it.
Seems like there's a white and green jersey around every single loose ball, as Andrea Dodig will go to the line, and a timeout called by the Dinos with 2:15 left in the first quarter. Huskies lead by 5.
And I think one stat that stood out to me in getting ready for this tournament, when you look at the Saskatchewan Huskies, and I think it'll speak to that constant look for perfection and improvement. So last season, they were 16th in Canada West, 44th out of 48 teams in the country in defensive three-point percentage at 32.4. Well, guess where they are right now? Number 1 in the conference, number 2 in the nation, 23.3. That's pretty amazing to go, you know, how you communicate, how you work, how you close out defensively on the three-point line. To do that in a year shows again just how good this team is and how much they continue to work to get better and better. And that speaks very well to this game, considering the fact for the Dinos, the number 1 team in Canada West, a three-point shooting third in the country, 33%. It's a big part of their game. They take more threes and hit more threes than any team in the country.
Well, and I think, like, you know, coming out of this timeout, Calgary's got to be happy they're only down 5, right? Like, it's not like they're getting blown out after turning the ball over so much. Like, they're still very, very much in it, even after not performing very well offensively. And so that's got to speak a little bit of confidence. Like, all right, we're okay. We can play here. We're right in this game. We're not playing very well, and we're still, you know, right in there with them at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, just 7 points so far off of those 10 turnovers committed by Calgary. Actually, the Dinos right now are the team that's benefiting off turnovers. They've only forced 3, but they've got 6 points off them.
Yeah, it hasn't turned into any transition for the Huskies. Like, everything has gotten slowed down, and if I'm going to be honest, I haven't been able to tell if it's because the Dinos are getting back or if the Huskies just haven't been pushing the pace as much. But yeah, it's not like they're getting a ton of advantage situations off those turnovers, but they are getting more possessions, and that's going to wear on them as the game goes on.
In the Canada West Championship, the Huskies absolutely feasted off Alberta turnovers in that second quarter, and that was the difference in that one. So a lot of basketball to be played in this one, but kudos to the Dinos for sticking around in this one. Down by 6 as foul is called. That's going to go against Melissa Gaich, and that will send the Huskies back to the line. Gaich picks up foul number 1, and that will send Maya Flindell.
Fouls are definitely a problem in their first matchup earlier in the season too. Calgary sent them to the line quite a bit the last time they met.
As fans still continue to pile in, looks like, I would say, a pro-Saskatchewan crowd. It doesn't matter what sport, what time of year. Folks from Saskatchewan will travel as Grasick with the steal and looking a lady and takes a look behind her. Nice patience shown by Gage Grasick. She's got 4 points, and a mini run here by the Huskies has opened up a 17-8 lead. Big 90 seconds here for the Dinos. Spins, fires off the glass. Proctor can't finish. DeMong for the rebound. Long pass ahead, just out of reach. I don't think she realized how much time she had. But really big last minute 124 here for this Calgary team. To maybe keep it within single digits would be a big victory.
Absolutely,
yeah. Definitely.
You cannot let Saskatchewan start to run away with things. That turns very quickly from a slow dribble into a massive flood.
Cone off balance.
I see it, another 50-50, just they're
Another
all
one,
over
yeah.
it.
Dodig fires it up the floor. Flindell. Left hand. Cone there for the rebound.
She loves finishing with her left hand, going to the left.
Gaich. Cone. Three-pointer blocked by Flindell. Three-pointer here for Oz. Too strong. Almost gets her own rebound. But there it is, another loose ball as Graslick picks it up. 30 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Dodig rising, firing. Nice shot there by Dodig. 3 points, 11-point Husky lead. Story draws the foul, runs right at Primo. So Courtney Primo picks up foul number 1. And with 18.5 seconds left in the first quarter, Calgary will have a chance to cut this deficit to single digits.
Good recognition there by Story just to go right at Primo. Again, late in this quarter, just trying to get a little bit of momentum back on their side.
Cone drives right, and a
Good
foul
take.
is called. And Andrea Dodig picks up the foul, and that will send Miriam Cone to the line. Cone, mentioned Canada West third-team All-Star this season, averaging just over 13 points per game in the regular season. Also a team-leading 4.1 assists per game, so she really does it all.
Yeah, she gets the odd steal as well.
She's all over the place.
She's,
You mentioned
she's
the
long.
speed, yeah.
Yeah, she's long and she's fast.
6 seconds to go. Dodig. She's got to get something up. Spins, fires at the buzzer. And at the end of the first quarter, the Huskies find themselves out in front 19-9. At times a good pace back and forth, but especially in the final 3 minutes, the Huskies are able to show why they're the #1 team in the nation.
Again, it's just those, it's not small things, but they just start to add up. And again, you look at the numbers, 12 turnovers forced on the Dinos. And as Kira mentioned, even if you're not getting a ton of points off them right now, those pay dividends later in game. Offensive rebounds, 6-3 in favor of the Huskies. So some of those 50-50 balls we've talked about. So again, you come out of a quarter like that, and I wouldn't call it a dominating performance by the Huskies, but they really controlled it from opening tip, and you could sort of feel like Calgary was just kind of chasing the game from pretty early on.
Well, and you're getting so many less looks at the rim when you're turning the ball over that much, and then if you're not getting second chances, like you said, they got 6 offensive rebounds for the Huskies and only 3 for Calgary. Like, you're limiting how much you're actually able to score because you're not getting second chances and you're turning it over before you even have a look. So the fact that, you know, they're only down 10 with the amount that they turned it over is a little bit of a blessing as well.
Neither team really shooting the ball particularly well in that first quarter. And, you know, is there something about maybe, like neither of these teams have maybe played in about 10 to 12 days. Are you seeing a little bit of rust on these teams?
I think there's maybe a little bit of that for sure. And again, the pressure's ramped up, the intensity's ramped up a little bit. But you're right, neither team's shooting percentage-wise very well. But in terms of field goal attempts, 20 taken by the Huskies, 10 by the Dinos. So there's just a 2-to-1 ratio in terms of actual attempts at the rim. Like, those things start to add up. And again, if the Huskies are going to continue to get those kind of looks, more and more are going to start dropping for them.
Well, and I think, like, and I'm not sure what happened in the other 2 quarterfinals, but like first quarter of your first game at Nationals, you're nervous.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Like, and that's one thing. Like the Huskies, they've been here. It's, you know, common practice for them to show up. Like you said, it's not, they don't miss very often. But that first quarter, you got to get your jitters out a little bit. Like the quarterfinal is such a massive game, and whether you're #1 playing #8 or whatever the matchup is, like you're nervous, and you got to get that out a little bit. And so I don't think it'll be uncommon for it to be a low percentage shooting in that first quarter.
And that's what's so tricky about a tournament like this. You have no time to feel your way into these games. If you lose, your tournament's over, right? Of course, there's consolation games, but there's no round robins at this national tournament. And if you have a bad quarter, it could sink your tournament. So Calgary certainly has work to do as we're underway in the second quarter. As a foul is called just 8 seconds in, Miriam Cohn picks up her first.
A little bit of a reach, poked the ball, but then drove through the player. So Mark said her first, team's first.
Primo hands it off to Reeder. Ahlstrom. DeMong.
Oh, nice play.
Nice dish to Grasick. Wide open for three is good. What a play.
DeMong is so composed and so strong. Like, just to be so balanced and find her like that, what a nice play.
Excellent court vision. And Primo's going to get called for the foul.
That's a break for the Dinos because that ball was going to be turned over, but I think as Rouse went looking for it, the push came from behind.
Cohn. Stolen by Primo. DeMong loses it. Calgary regains possession. 4 seconds on the shot clock. They got to move. I don't think they realize how much time, but it doesn't matter as DeMong in perfect position for the steal. She finds Ahlstrom for three. That is good.
You don't want her to get hot.
No. Perfect start for the Huskies in the second quarter. On a 6-0 run to start. And Cohn hits the floor as Taya DeMong picks up foul number one. So the foul's starting to rack up a little bit here early in the second quarter.
Ahlstrom led this team in threes made, threes taken, and percentage this season. Or sorry, not percentage, that was DeMong, but like Kira said, you cannot let her or any of these players get hot. And again, already now this is turned in quickly to a 16-point Husky lead.
Grasick there for the rebound. Here's Reeder with speed. Good defense there by Proctor to not foul. It's Cohn directing traffic, hands it off to Proctor. Oz. To Rouse. Rouse back in the game with 2 fouls. Good job there by Reeder to not step out of bounds. And Ahlstrom gathering speed across half. To her left hand. Too strong. Zelinska makes no mistake on the rebound. And an 8-0 run to open up the second quarter. It's 27-9 Saskatchewan. Proctor. Cohn. Right down Main Street, can't finish.
Yeah, Calgary's feeling very disjointed offensively, like it's a 1-on-4, 1-on-5 sort of situation. And they got to get a little bit of rhythm, you know, finding each other. It seems like they're just kind of waiting for somebody else to do it.
Well, and that's starting to result in turnovers. And though we mentioned earlier Saskatchewan hadn't capitalized, well, they are now 16 points now off of those 14 Dino turnovers. So turnovers continue to mount, and the points off them are as well.
Grasick has 7 points. She finds Zelinska, gets it right back. DeMong. Back to Grasick. 7 to go. Grasick in the paint. Little short Zelinska there for the rebound. Spins, lobs it up, too strong.
Oh, wow.
Grasick there for the rebound. As the Huskies bench thought there should have been a foul called, and here comes Calgary. Rouse. To Gaich. Gaich heaves it towards the net. Zelinska there for the rebound. Almost stolen there by Skumatova. And Saskatchewan inbounds. Flindell. From the U Sports logo, pretty looking floater there. It's been all Saskatchewan in the second quarter. Proctor. Calgary looking for any type of offense, looking to stop the bleeding. Gaich. Rouse for three. Misses to the right. Grazik there for the rebound. And a foul called. Judging by her reaction, I'm going to guess that's going to go on Emily Collin, and it does. Foul number 2. And this game is getting out of reach for the Dinos.
Well, and I think there's a good example, and I'm not saying this to pick on Louise Rouse, but what Kira was talking about before, that sometimes when you get out of rhythm, even players themselves get out of rhythm. Rouse is not a three-point shooter. Took 34 during the season. That was a bit of an off balance. She's on her heels. Not a great shot with time left on the shot clock. So another example just where you get completely out of rhythm and your normal decision-making starts to drop off a bit as well.
Yeah, panic sets in a little bit, and not only like that three, but then taking that foul. You know, like there's no need to do that, and then it just throws it off more, and you start to compound mistakes, and it just starts to extend that.
As it's going to be Dino's ball with under 6 minutes remaining. A 10-0 run in the second quarter here for Saskatchewan. As I mentioned, these two teams met back in November. Saskatchewan won both games on their home floor, and both teams are quite familiar here at the Saville Community Sport Centre, so this gym isn't quite foreign to them, but it is still a neutral site game as Skumatova finds Rouse. Rouse, Canada West first team All-Star, to Gaich for three. That one missed. And another white jersey there for the rebound.
I find when you're out of rhythm, in comparison to when things are starting, like ball just falls into your hands when things are going your way, and when you're out of rhythm and you take a shot like that, you know, you're not getting a second chance because it's not going your way. The ball's not falling your way in those moments. I don't know if that's the basketball gods or what that is, but even there, you know, like they overthrow that to Maya and it turns into a foul. It's just because things are going the Huskies' way. They're in rhythm, they're playing together, and the Dinos are just very disjointed right now. They're not playing with a whole lot of confidence right now.
Timeout called with 5:33 remaining in the second quarter.
Well, that's the thing with this Huskies team is that you see it all season where teams can stay close with them for a bit, and then it just starts to get away. And even if you look at the playoffs for Saskatchewan against UBC Okanagan in their first game, up 39-25, so a 14-point lead at halftime. In the second game, their semifinal against Fraser Valley, 31-12 after the first quarter.
Yeah, that was the craziest start to a game I may have ever seen.
Exactly, and then the Pandas in the final, it's 41-26 at the half after a pretty decent first quarter where it was 18-15 Huskies. So they just, again, you get no breaks against this Huskies team, and I think the Dinos right now are learning that, having been outscored 10-0 here in this second quarter.
Yeah, and it's just, they play the right way, they play together, and like you said, it wears on you over time. And like I said, in that first quarter, Dinos had turned the ball over a ton, but the Huskies weren't making them pay in transition. But they continued at it and wore you down, and now the offense is disjointed, and now they start to get a little bit more transition looks, and so it wears on you. It's an exhausting thing, and it also, that's what the best teams do. You box out every single time, you crash every single time, and you wear teams down, and you might not notice that in the first quarter or the second quarter, but by the fourth, teams are exhausted from having to guard you, the entire length of the floor, or having to box you out every single time, and you're just like, holy man, they just don't quit.
Flindell misses the first attempt.
79% free throw shooter for the St. Albert native. She was the 4A Alberta Player of the Year back in 2022.
She is very skilled.
Travel called, so it's going to be Huskies ball, and Calgary having a hard time sticking around this one. Grazik. Ahlstrom. To Flindell. Flindell drives to her left, spins, fires, short, and Skumatova lets that go out of bounds. Saskatchewan thought it was last touched by Calgary, however the officials disagree, so it's going to be Dino's ball. Midway through the second quarter, Calgary still looking for their first points of this quarter. And Flindell steals it, does a good job, however Calgary gets it right back, and 2 white jerseys, as Kira mentioned. 2 white jerseys surrounding 1 black jersey.
Well, they're so competitive, and they just, like, even that little tap to herself there, like, they want it so bad. Like, it's really, super fun to watch, because they all do.
There's some quick substitutions here for the Huskies as Taya DeMong checks back in. Emily Collin to inbound for the Dinos, looking for help. As Gaich ends up in the hands of Milam. Gaich, Story, down low to Milam. She was looking for Skumatova in the corner, however another turnover as Logan Reeder. Flindell thought about a 3, takes a couple steps in, jump shot too strong. Collin. Directing traffic to Gaich. And the travel is called.
The situation there where she had to wait. She was trying to wait for that cutter was Gaich. I think the cutter coming through was Skumatova, but it took her a while to even recognize that lane was there. And by that time, Gaich had already shuffled her feet.
Well, and every time, like, the Dinos are catching the ball on the perimeter, like, I don't believe they're attackers, and I think that the Huskies know that as well, and so you're able to play them as passers, and even when they're looking at the rim, it's like they're not really looking at the rim to go for themselves. They're looking for somebody else to give it to, and that makes your job as a defender so much easier. And it's like, all right, I don't really have to guard her as a scorer, I just guard her as a passer, and then so does everybody else, and that also leads to shooting lanes and getting touches on passes because you're playing everyone as a passer, not as an attacker.
Yeah.
Timeout called by the Huskies, 4:02 remaining in the second quarter. It's been all Saskatchewan in this second quarter. An 11-0 run. And just feel like they're squeezing the life out of the Calgary Dinos here, 1 possession at a time.
And I know it probably sounds, if you're a Dino fan listening to us talk, it sounds like we're jumping all over Calgary. I don't think we really are. It's right now, this is a team in the Saskatchewan Huskies that are just playing at an extremely high level, and a really good team in the Calgary Dinos is having a tough time matching that right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to say because I'm probably biased no matter what. I'm going to do my best, but it's the nature of the game right now. Like, you can tell by the score, like, that's what we're going to talk about because that's what's happening in front of us, right? But, I'm hoping that the Dinos are able, coming out into the second half, sometimes when you fall down by a big margin, you come out in the second half being like, all right, like, there's nothing to lose, and you can come out and play with a little bit of confidence and just be able to play and find your rhythm. Might be a bit of a margin to be able to come back from, but at least you can kind of find your game, and then, not saying that this game is over because it's not by any stretch, but find your rhythm at least going forward in the tournament as well.
Unfortunately, there is no 21-point shot in the game of basketball. You're going to have to take it 1 possession at a time.
Absolutely.
And it starts right here for Calgary.
There's a good possession. I like that from the Dinos. There's a good example where you get Skumatova backing in her defender, and good decisive play there from the perimeter to look for that entry to the low block. Gets tipped away, but they draw the foul. Get a possession from the baseline.
Gaich fires that, fortunately, right to Ella Murphy-Weeb. Reeder, Grazik fakes a 3 and then drives. No foul called. Murphy-Weeb falling away. She's got her first points of the evening. And this clinic continues. 3-pointer by Story.
Yeah, I haven't scored in a really long time. You can't be taking early threes.
That's a tough one, but they catch a bit of a break here as it goes out of bounds. They'll get the ball right back. With 3:20 remaining, 32-9. It's been all Saskatchewan in this second quarter.
And the three-point shooting, an important part of the Dinos offense. We mentioned they struggled shooting the three in the 2 regular season matchups against the Huskies. It's the same story right now. They're 1 of 8, 12.5%. So they are struggling from long range. And again, as I said, that's a big part of this team's offense.
Dodig. Ahlstrom. Ahlstrom in her 5th year in Canada West. No better way to wrap up your Canada West career with another trip to Nationals. Murphy Weed goes way off the backboard and in. She was a big part of the gold medal game a couple weeks ago. It just feels like Calgary is walking into these traps set by Saskatchewan. They're playing so well defensively right now.
Well, they're trying to, get to the middle of the floor, get to the rim, because they're just not shooting very well. But Sask collapses so well, and they dig in from all the right places, and they're making it really difficult. But it's also, Calgary needs to have a little bit of poise going in there too, and they're not taking the chances when they have some open looks and trying to make that extra pass. But it's a suffocating defense, and I don't envy them.
Finally, Calgary gets on the board in the second quarter as Emily Collin with a 3-point shot. That falls. So Saskatchewan leads by 24. But they will look to add to that as they will shoot 2 free throws. I believe it will be Carly Ahlstrom.
Ahlstrom with a good job on that back seal on Gaich. Gaich grabs the jersey. And she knew she was beaten on that lob. And as Mark said, that'll send Ahlstrom to the free throw line, 72% free throw shooter. Huskies finished 4th in Canada West during the regular season, 71% as a team.
Ahlstrom led the team in scoring in the regular season, averaging 14.3 points per game. It's halfway there. We're almost halfway through the game. She has 7, looking to make it 8. There's the broadcaster's jinx. Flindell fights, gets the rebound, and a foul is called, so the Huskies will go back to the line.
That's normally my job to make sure that I ruin everyone's lives at the free throw line.
It's our first game of the tournament, so there's plenty more
That's true.
opportunities.
That's lots of chances for me to do that.
Flindell, a little too strong of a take. Goes 0 for 2, but gets the rebound and loses the handle, and it will be Dino's ball.
Those are moments too, as you can't allow 2 offensive rebounds on free throws like that. If you're going to start to crawl and fight your way back, those moments matter. All of those moments matter.
Yeah, we said it in the pregame show, but just no margin for error against a team like Saskatchewan, because they will jump and they will capitalize and they will just squeeze the life out of you.
Yeah, and you have to. Yeah, those are big moments. At the end of the game, when you add all of those things up, it's a large portion of that lead.
Cohn finds Rouse on the inbound. Skumatova at 3 rattles around, and Rouse gets the offensive rebound. Story for 3. Skumatova passes that to no one, so it's going to be Huskies' ball. With 1:38 remaining in the half.
And hopefully with Rouse back in the lineup, especially coming into the second half, she sat a large portion of that first half because of foul trouble. That'll help them too. She's obviously a massive piece of this team and of their offense.
Yeah.
So having her back in the second half, I'm sure will bring them back to life a little bit.
Grasick, nice footwork in the paint. What a finish there by Gage Grasick. She's got 11. First player in double digits tonight, and it's 39-12 Saskatchewan. Flindell almost steals that, and she collides with Skumatova.
And those fouls, if you're Coach Tomitis, you're probably okay with that, because again, you're trying to jump that pass lane, trying to deflect balls, make it just, again, a little tougher on the Dinos. So yes, it's a foul on Flindell, but you'll take that.
Well, and I wonder if her philosophy has changed a little bit, but I remember if we were going for those, you better get it.
Okay, I stand corrected. So maybe it isn't
but
okay.
And maybe that was just our our dynamic as well, right? Like it changes every year what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. But it was, if you're shooting that lane, it better be because you're coming up with the ball.
Well, but it's a good point, because if you do shoot the lane and you miss it, then you got numbers going the other way
100%.
against you. So
you're full speed going the wrong direction.
That's right.
But at least that one, it's, you're getting a foul, but they're not.
Yeah.
You're taking them out of the play at the same time.
Ahlstrom called for the travel. As we have some substitutions here, with just 56 seconds left in the half. Alexis Lewins checks in for the first time tonight. And a timeout called with under a minute remaining. 39-14, Huskies. It's been all Saskatchewan in the second quarter. They were the #1 seed coming in. Certainly playing like it so far.
So I'll ask you this, Kira, if you're Damian Jennings heading into the Calgary locker room down, like what is the message at halftime for a team like the Dinos, considering where you are right now?
It's like Mark said earlier, there's not a shot that's going to get you back into this, like not one shot alone. It's you come in and it's one possession at a time, and especially like for like a high energy team like the Dinos, you got to focus on your defense, right? You find your rhythm on defense, create some advantage situations, get out and run, and find your rhythm that way. Like I think this half court, quarter court stuff really isn't boding well for them right now. So it needs to be, we need to lock down on defense, go one possession at a time, be where your feet are, be where you're at right now. Let's get some steals, let's get out and move, and let's find our rhythm, and just find that energy through their defensive play, and then just one play at a time, because it's a bit of a spread, but there's not one play that's going to get you back into this. It's one at a time.
And we've talked a lot about the Huskies defense. This is a good defensive team in the Dinos too, 7th in the nation. They only give up 54 a game on average. So a team that, to your point, if they can chip away at the defensive end first, then worry about the offense after.
Well, and they pass the ball and they move the ball really well and find each other. But I think right now they're getting taken out of their game, and it's showing a little bit in the rhythm of their offense. And so they can start finding each other and moving it with a little bit of speed and play a full court game. I think that's going to bode well for them.
Cohn hits her first attempt. Going to go 2 for 2. And she does just that. And to your one possession at a time, it's cliche, but we say it for a reason.
Totally.
Right? Like stranger things have happened as we almost have a turnover here, but focus on possession by possession, win each possession, and then take a look to see
being present is massive in any sport, right? Like just being aware of what's in front of you and taking it one step at a time. Like you said, it's super cliche, but it's how it works.
Flindell with a pretty looking shot there. As Rouse just out of reach.
That's what they need. That's what they need.
Just out of reach for Louise Rouse. So Saskatchewan will get the ball. Shot clock turned off. 22.7 left. Some pressure shown by the Dinos. Flindell across half. Slows things up. 10 seconds remaining.
I bet she goes left.
She does just that. Lobs it up. And Cohn's going to launch it from 3/4. From my angle, that looked like it was accurate, just a little bit short, but nonetheless, at half, it is a 41-16 lead for Saskatchewan. They flex their muscles and show why they went 19-1 in Canada West, showed why they're the reigning Canada West champions, and dug the Huskies as advertised so far in that first half.
Yeah, Calgary had a good start. I mean, it was pretty close through the first 3-4 minutes, but it's crazy. You get to a point, I think we were at 15-9 at one point, and you just sort of had a feeling like if Calgary didn't wrestle it back even at that point, that it was going to turn into this, and that's exactly what happened, because as we said, the turnovers even at that point were mounting. They weren't getting punished for them, but those have started to take off, and then once that train is out of the station, it's a pretty tough one to slow down.
Yeah, like we had talked about it earlier, that spread early on in the first is like, it doesn't feel like that's the way this game is going, and Calgary needed to dig into that a little bit and take advantage of the fact that they weren't down that much and turning the ball over as much as they were, and they just weren't able to find their rhythm. But hopefully they have a good meeting at half and they find a little bit of their defensive rhythm and their defensive energy and start to play with a little bit of pace, starting to find each other a little bit better, kind of more so how they've played all year. And I think they've been taken out of their game right now. And so a little bit of a regrouping at half. And I think we'll see a different team coming out of the team room.
Kira, on the flip side, we talked about what's likely being said in the Calgary locker room, what can be said, but Saskatchewan, you're up by 25 points at the half, really a picture-perfect first half. What is being said in the locker room right now? Is it more keep it up, or is you're going to work on something else in that second half?
Nothing is, especially in that locker room, nothing is ever picture-perfect. There are always things that need to be tweaked and worked on and fixed, and there's definitely going to be those things talked about, but it's, as vulgar as it sounds, it's one of those, you twist the knife, right? Like we're at nationals now, it's never, the margin is never big enough, right? And not only for this game, but moving into the next ones, it's like, all right, we need to get reps, we need to get rhythm, we need to get shots up, and we need to have a good feeling in this gym. And so it's, you twist the knife always, but especially at nationals.
She's Kira Lyons, he's Doug McLean, I'm Mark Mageau. You're watching quarterfinal number 3 from the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship. Thank you for watching us on CBC Sports. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back. Second half action between the Huskies and Dinos. It is all Saskatchewan. They lead 41-16 at half.
It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi, when you can't push one more second. Chase the glory. Visez haut.
Welcome back inside the Saville Community Sport Centre, quarterfinal number 3, the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship. My name is Mark Majot. Pleased to be joined alongside former Saskatchewan Husky and current head coach of the Nate Ooks women's basketball team, Kira Lyons, as well as Doug McLean. And we'll revisit our keys to the game from the very beginning. We'll start with Saskatchewan. Doug, you said it was poise and patience, and they certainly showed both those in the first half.
Yeah, I think, again, and it wasn't like it was an awful start. It was just a fairly competitive back and forth first few minutes, but then again, Saskatchewan just stays at it. Next thing you know, you've started to stretch that lead. I mean, at where we are here right now with a 25-point edge. They play 40 minutes almost unrelentingly.
And Kira, you'd mentioned for Calgary is kind of finding their offensive mojo, and was it more they couldn't find it, or is it more just Saskatchewan is stifling them on defense?
Both.
Yeah.
I think it's both. I think Saskatchewan is a tremendous defensive team, and it's hard to find your mojo when you are being, like you said, suffocated. But I don't think Calgary's playing with the confidence that they have or that they would like to be playing with either. So I do think it's a little bit of both.
Underway in the second half as Saskatchewan looks to stamp their ticket into the semifinal Saturday. As Taya Damong tries to start the second half with a nice layup, can't finish, and here comes Miriam Cohn turning on the Jets for Calgary. One-on-one, little short, Primo there for the rebound. She just hands it off to Grasic. And the Huskies looking to stretch their 25-point lead. What a dish there to Doding.
Nice
what
play.
a finish. I don't know if it was prettier, the pass by Grasic or the finish by Doding. Collin hands it off to Proctor.
And I love Grasic's ability to just keep her dribble alive, to recognize when she's not getting to the rim, keep it alive, pull it back out, and then find her teammates. She does that so well and so often.
And a foul is called. We'll see who the guilty party is, but it looks like Emily Collin will go to the line for the Dinos.
And just to build on Kira's point, not only, I mean, she maintains the dribble, but she draws eyes. So as she dribbles through the lane, she's drawing attention, drawing eyes to her, and that allows Dode to come from the weak side of the floor, cut right through. No one even spotted her, turns the corner, it's a layup.
Like she went in and then pulled three from the baseline up, which opened it up completely, right? And still has the awareness of them behind her, so they don't poke it out from behind. Like, just, yeah, very, very high IQ, super smart.
As Miriam Cohn was the beneficiary of an offensive rebound, she gets 2. But the Huskies, led by Carly Ahlstrom, playing her final games for the Huskies this weekend. Left hand, almost got that to fall, and she battles. Look like she was battling with Skumatova. And it will be Dino ball as Ahlstrom picks up her second foul.
One player we've mentioned a lot already tonight is Miriam Cohn. Again, a player who's on the floor a ton, actually led them in minutes per game during the regular season. Just a second-year player, so another example of a player who's just going to continue to get better.
Little short on that one, didn't put quite enough on, and here come the Huskies. Damong. Ahlstrom with time for 3. No good, but Primo in perfect position for the offensive rebound, off the glass and in.
Watching her slide into position when shots go up, like she puts herself in such great spots like that. I mean, and obviously with a country nation leading 60% field goal percentage, like she just great nose for positioning and where the ball's going to end up, and gives herself some wonderful looks.
Quite comfortable in the paint.
And the offensive rebound numbers 13-5 in favor of the Huskies right now. Points in the paint 28-6 in favor of Saskatchewan. So they have not had to rely a lot on their outside game, as they've been able to get those looks in the lane.
And it hasn't been a ton of post-ups. It's just
Nope.
been like attacks.
And and offensive boards that creating second chance opportunities. Emily Collin at the free throw line, 74% shooter for the native of Rimouski. Started now 75 of 79 career games.
Primo and Grazik play give and go off the inbound. Grazik across half. Ahlstrom. Almost poked loose by Proctor. Three-pointer here by Grazik is good with a hand in her face. As Gage has 14 points. It's a game high. Cone off balance. She draws the foul, so Grazik hits a three at one and then picks up a foul at the other, and that's going to send Miriam Cone to the line.
Getting to the line, also a wonderful way to crawl and claw your way back into this game. Like getting to the rim, finding your shot at the line, right? Like it hasn't been falling from the three for Calgary, so a really good way to find that is to get to the line, watch it go in a couple times, feel it go off your fingers, find that rhythm that way as well.
Grazik hands it off to DeMong. Primo. Good ball movement here is Reeder. Spins. Fires to DeMong in the corner. 5 to go in the shot clock. Powers that off the glass, and it's going to remain Husky ball. 7:05 remaining in the third.
I think a play there where she recognized where Ahlstrom was, who had good inside position. Hammer it off the glass, give your teammate an opportunity to pick that one up, and it almost worked.
Ahlstrom,
Great
tough finish. Makes it look easy. She's got 9 points. As Cone, we alluded to that speed earlier. Dishes it off to Rouse, she can't finish. Goes out of bounds, it's going to be Saskatchewan ball. DeMong fires it ahead to Reeder. Reeder with speed. Stops, curls. Grazik. Reeder, 6 to go. Lays it in, and she's got a chance for the three-point play.
Good finish.
Logan Reeder. Really nice finish. Cuts right through 2 dinos. Makes no mistake. And that's going to be the 3rd foul on Collin.
Logan Reeder, last year's Canada West Rookie of the Year, member of the U Sports All Rookie team. She comes from a family of Huskies. Her dad Shane played Husky football, and Mom Rianne played Husky volleyball. Her brother's a quarterback with the Saskatchewan Hilltops, so a few athletic genes in that group.
As Cone did her best to keep that in bounds. However, it will be Saskatchewan's possession, leading by 30. Murphy Weeb to Reeder. Turnover there. Primo with the happy feet. And it will be Courtney Oz to inbound for the Dinos. To Cone. Story. To Rouse. Proctor in the paint. Nice touch there by Maya Proctor from the U Sports logo. Grazik. Reeder. Bumped by Proctor. And a foul is called. And And that will be the media timeout with 5:37 remaining in the third quarter. Saskatchewan leads 52-24. You're watching the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship on CBC Sports.
They don't do it for the likes or for the shares. They do it for the fun of it, for the thrill, for the camaraderie, for the memories. CBC Sports, just because they love it.
Welcome back to the Saville Community Sport Centre. There you get a look inside the Huskies huddle. They lead 52-24, and they're just a few feet to our broadcast right, and I notice, I don't know if it's an athletic therapist or one of the players is wearing a shirt that said, "Husky basketball never stops." And it certainly feels like that through 2.5 quarters.
They haven't stopped tonight.
No.
And I think the Dinos might agree, although they're, again, Dinos a little more balanced, I would say, here so far in this third quarter. But again, you got to start chipping away at this deficit.
Really nice touch there by Murphy Weed.
Nice finish.
Mentioned she had a big game in the Canada West Gold Medal Championship against Alberta last week. As the foul going to be called against Logan Reeder. Miriam Cohn has a chance to complete the three-point play. Cohn gets into double digits. She's got 10, looking to make it 11. Too strong, and the Huskies control the rebound. Rebound margin of about 11, I believe, right now for Saskatchewan. They're doing it at both ends of the floor. Both boards are really doing it all tonight. As mentioned earlier today, Queens was victorious in quarterfinal number 2, and Carleton was victorious in quarterfinal number 1. As Cohn with a nice steal, Proctor off the glass and in. So Calgary still hanging around, chipping away at this deficit.
Cohn has been Calgary's best player today. She's been all over the floor. Has been even more effective getting to the rim here in this third quarter.
Grasick fires it to Reeder. 4 to go. Flindell.
Ooh.
Foul called as 2 black jerseys swarm, and that's going to send Maya Flindell to the line. As I believe Courtney Oz is going to get charged with her first. And Flindell to the line. 6 points on the night. She goes 2 for 2. Cohn takes left, goes right, fires a dart over to Oz for 3. That is good. Nice dish there by Cohn and a big shot there by Oz. So a much better third quarter for the Dinos. DeMong looking to respond with a three-pointer of her own. No good. Murphy Weeb there for the rebound. Finds DeMong. She can't finish. Flindell fights for it. Grasick takes a look around. 5 to go. Long three-pointer for Grazik is
that
good.
right where she hit that buzzer beater in this gym as well? Almost the exact same spot. She likes that place.
Quite familiar with this gym, and she makes no mistake. Story looking for a response, too strong. Grazik with the rebound. Cross half. 59-31 Huskies lead. Grazik.
Nice move.
Defended well. Rouse, however, turns it right back over to Murphy-Wiebe. Flindell. Grazik. DeMong. Stolen. Looked like a bit of a pinball there. A Story. Cone calling for it. Again, fakes left, goes right, goes up and under. Good ball movement here is Story for three. Too strong. Good job box out there by Murphy.
Even though that one didn't go, that's so much better of a shot than that early one, right? Like you went in, it went out, had the extra pass, it was in rhythm. Like that first one coming down and taking those early threes, that especially in a game where you're struggling to score, like the shot selection just has to be a little bit better, and it's nice to see that in comparison to, you know, the previous possession.
Murphy-Wiebe in the paint. Really nice second half. She's got 8 points, and the lead is back up to 30 for Saskatchewan. 2:15 remaining in the third. Rouse. Story off the glass and in. Her first points of the evening.
And we mentioned she hadn't played since the end of January, so for her, getting back into rhythm has maybe taken a little bit of time.
As she fouls Logan Reeder. And that will send Reeder to the line. Second foul for Story.
As much as it's, you know, there's a little bit more life to the Dinos, you're starting to see some frustration build as well, and it's hard not to let it.
Yeah.
You know, when you're down this many in the opening game of the tournament, like you're hoping to at least give yourselves a chance, you know, and if your first half or second quarter mostly, you know, doesn't look the way that it did, like they'd at least given themselves a shot at it, but, you know, to have that second quarter go the way that it did and not be able to score and to be playing, you know, this second half the way that they are, it's a frustrating and a hard place to be in, which takes a lot of discipline and maturity, but also a wonderful learning opportunity for them. Like, you have to finish the game. You have to finish the game no matter what. The tournament's not over, and you need to find a way to finish this on a good, positive note, and I think they're getting some life. Beautiful. So roll with that, you know, go with that positivity and don't let the calls and don't let that frustration build, as I do think I'm seeing it in a couple of the players out there on the floor.
They're certainly playing, as that screen roll and bucket indicates, they're playing a lot freer here in this third quarter, which they seem to tighten up as that first half went along.
Well, I've mentioned it a couple times tonight, but the Canada West gold medal game really came down to the second quarter, and that's, again, when Saskatchewan is able to stretch their lead as Maya Flindell has a chance to complete a three-point play. They're just able to capitalize on other teams' mistakes, and you're right, this has been a much better quarter for the Dinos. It's just the hole was so big entering this quarter that it seems like you're just trying to, you're not digging yourself out of the hole, you're just keep digging and not really getting much progress.
Yeah, you get, you know, a couple good looks, a couple good scores, and then you get a foul, and then that frustration just builds right back up, right? It's a tough process to go through, but a really good learning opportunity for this team.
That's Rouse. Nice positioning there.
It's coming a little bit easier this quarter.
It is, yeah. And this is great experience for this Calgary team as well. They don't have any fifth-year players on their team as well, so the majority of this roster will be coming back next season. Ahlstrom. Awkward-looking shot, couldn't get that to go. Under a minute remaining in the third. Nice pass to put it on the floor. Proctor for three. That is good. So Calgary's got 40. 24 points in this quarter. And a violation there by the Huskies, so Calgary showing a bit of life. They'll have 14 seconds, maybe more. Colin on the inbound. As Alstrom takes a tumble. Geich for three. Misses to the right. Good positioning there. Here comes Andrea Dodig. Under 10 seconds remaining. Puts her shoulder down, spins from the Canada West logo, gets right the mound of touch. And that's a nice way to finish the third quarter for Saskatchewan, as it is a 68-40 lead for Saskatchewan. So a better third quarter for the Dinos, but Saskatchewan is showing why they're the #1 team in the nation.
Yeah, like we talked about, I think offensively we saw good examples of a Calgary team that definitely played freer, played a little bit more relaxed. I think instinctually played the game more to their capabilities in that third quarter. But the challenge is you can't trade buckets in a situation where you're down like they were. You need to get stops and then get scores to get yourself back into it. Unfortunately, they end up losing the quarter by 3, so definitely a better quarter. But when you're in single digits in the first 2 quarters, it's a big mountain to climb, and right now they're not getting enough stops.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for them is, you know, like we said, they are finding a little bit more rhythm. They're finding each other and playing a bit more free. And so hopefully that continues going into the fourth, and you build on that. And it's tough. It's tough going into the fourth, being down as many as you are, but you close that gap as best you can. You fight until the absolute bitter end, because that's just, you know, how the game needs to be played.
Doug, taking a look at some of these stats through 3 quarters, the one that jumps out to me is turnovers for Calgary. They turned the ball over 23 times. They're only shooting 36% from the field. What's jumping out to you from either Saskatchewan or Calgary?
Yeah. I mean, I think statistically, certainly the turnovers, you cannot turn the ball over as much as Calgary has, especially against a team like Saskatchewan that will ultimately make you pay for it. And we've mentioned throughout the season just the turnover numbers in Canada West, and the fact that I think the number is 10 of the bottom 12 teams in the nation in turnovers per game are out of Canada West. So it's a bit of an anomaly, but you just can't turn the ball over as much as Calgary did in the early going and stay in games, and that's the one that continues to stand out for me, even if they've settled that down a little bit here as the game's gone on.
Kira, one thing that's jumped out to me is balance on the Saskatchewan side.
Yeah.
Looking at the points, what's jumping out to you so far through 3 quarters?
Offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan has 17 to Calgary 6. So not only, you know, had they turned the ball over at, you know, quite a bit more than Saskatchewan has as well. They're not giving themselves second chances. Like, they aren't shooting the ball as well as they normally do from 3. Like, they're starting to shoot a little bit better in that third, but they're also not giving themselves any other looks. And if you're not shooting the ball very well, you have to crash and you have to go hard at those boards to give yourself another look. And they just haven't. Like, 6 in over 3 quarters in comparison to 17. Like, you're not giving yourselves an opportunity.
One more quarter to go in quarterfinal number 3. It's been a fantastic day of hoops here at the Saville Community Sport Centre. We thank you for joining us on CBC Sports from coast to coast. Still one more to go after this one. As a perfect start here for the Huskies as they force a turnover just 13 seconds into the fourth. Of course, the host team, the Alberta Pandas, take on Laval. That'll be our final game of the evening. But the Huskies well on their way to punching their ticket to semifinal Saturday. Zelinska to Flindell, 3 to go. She launches a 3. That one's short, but Zelinska in perfect position for the rebound, misses the shot, but she gets fouled. And that will send Lucia Zelinska to the line.
One thing, too, that impresses me so much, and is proven out by the points in the paint, which are 40-18 right now for the Huskies, is just how good in tight and even in massively contested shots the Huskies are at finishing. Just those little layups that sometimes, this is a team that converts on so many more of those than almost any team in this conference, and you start to add those into their overall bucket of tricks. And they've got posts that just have great hands and tight, and it's something that, to your point earlier, Kira, about the frustration setting for the Dinos, well, they feel they're contesting those shots, yet in tight, the Huskies are converting.
Well, I know you were talking about balance in terms of offense, but like the Huskies playing off balance, you know, like getting to the middle of the floor and being able to come to 2 and have that good footwork also creates more space for those finishes. So it's not like they're off balance and fading when they're putting those up. Like they are off 2 feet, they are balanced, they are strong, and so now it's far easier to finish those in congestion and in traffic when you're strong.
Yep.
And that's something, I mean, that I know that they work on all the time.
Emily Cullen picking up foul number 5, so her evening is done for Calgary. Cullen finishes with 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. Salinska fires a dart. Wide open in the paint, and it's a 31-point advantage for Saskatchewan. Story to Proctor, to Cone, being guarded by Ahlstrom. Cone, nice move, nice finish. As mentioned, she's been one of the best players for the Dinos tonight.
Yeah, she's been their motor for sure.
Zelinska. Nice touch there to Dodig. Saskatchewan making it look easy here in the 4th.
Yeah, that was easy.
Well, and then we talk about how good their posts are and tight, and then you have a post that can make a pass like that from.
Well, she had 2.
That's
the
right,
second one
exactly,
in a row.
back to back.
Yeah.
Cone was looking for Geitch. That was read perfectly. As Dodig. In the corner, being watched by Proctor. Ahlstrom, 5 to go. For 3, short. And it ends up in the hands of Cone. And with speed across half. Story. To Geitch. Rouse just out of reach. That ball ends up in the front row. So it will be Saskatchewan ball, and both teams have some substitutions here. As Gage Grasick will inbound for Saskatchewan. She has a game-high 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists.
And just such a good floor general.
Absolutely does it all. Can score, great court vision.
Fantastic defender.
Type of player I imagine coaches love to coach because she can really do it all. And a turnover there caused by the Dinos, and here comes Cone. Bumped by DeMong. To her right. Read perfectly again. You mentioned the defense by Grasick, showing why she was a Canada West first team All-Star.
It's the type of steals that I really like watching this Husky team get to. Like it's the awareness of where the ball is going, 1 or 2 passes or plays beforehand. Like they just are able to step in and get 2-handed steals and get in the lane and just pick those things off because they're so aware and prepared. Yeah. Like Taya DeMong in the Can West final, talking about her 9 steals. Like those are just her stepping in front and picking things off because she knew it was coming. Like far before the offense even knew they were putting it there, you know? And it's just like stepping in front, making it look so easy.
Grasick, 6 minutes remaining in the 4th, 75-42 the Huskies lead. For 3, long 3-pointer.
Heat check.
Cone. Rouse. Cone for 3. Rebound there by Grasick. Getting close to a double-double now. Ahlstrom. For 3. That is good. Back of the rim and straight down. Ahlstrom's in double digits now. She's got 12 points. 3 for 7 from 3. Cone.
She just put that between her legs.
She did.
She nutmegged her.
I thought my eyes were deceiving me. I'm like, I wasn't going to say anything, so I'm glad that you were braver than I was to, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
She did. Tricky.
The old point guard of me would not have thought of doing that, I can assure you.
Again, what you were just saying a couple minutes ago, Kira, another steal there, another turnover caused by Gage Grassick.
Yeah, if you don't have two hands on it, being super strong, like they are going to tie you up. They're going to get a hand on it. They're active, and they're really good at being active with their hands and not fouling, which is really impressive. Like when you dig in as much as they do and double down as much as they do, it's very easy to get into foul trouble. And so the fact that they're able to do that and not foul is such a underrated skill.
Timeout called with 4:43 remaining. Saskatchewan leads by 38. Take a look at some highlights from earlier in this one. As the first quarter was a really great pace back and forth, but Saskatchewan just really started to flex their muscles in that second quarter. And the Dinos have been playing catch-up ever since.
It just started at 15-9. Like I said, that's the point to me. There was it was going to go one way or the other. Calgary was going to find a way early to chip in and stay in it, or it got away from them.
The turnovers are going to catch up to them.
And eventually that's exactly what happened. It just got away from them. And because Saskatchewan can beat you so many ways, you want to play a defensive, grind-it-out game, they can do that. We've seen how good they've done that tonight. You want to play a bit of an up-tempo game, they can do that too. Third quarter, Calgary puts up 24 points. They get outscored 27-24 because the Huskies were able to cash in more frequently. You want to play, again, whatever style you want to do, they've got the options to do it, and it's been all on display here so far tonight.
Well, and I guarantee they are hearing about that 24 points in that quarter as well, right? Like we talk about that strive to always be improving and getting better, and what they're talking about, like that's not, 24 is too many, but they won that quarter, but they're going to hear about it.
Yep.
Well, this is not the end for either of these teams. Obviously, Saskatchewan are going to punch their ticket to the semis, but still have quite the competition that awaits them, and Calgary will play tomorrow. But again, I mentioned Calgary has a relatively, I don't want to say a young team, but a lot of returning players next year. So
yeah, they'll have a lot of retention hopefully coming next year. Like, what a good experience to come here and play, the top-ranked team in the country, and have to battle and go through a game like this. Like, it's all learning. And with a team that's hopefully going to have a lot of these girls on the roster back, like it's only going to bode well for them into next year, into the year after that. And it's all a learning experience. It's not everybody's year every year.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of disappointed programs at the end of every single season, right?
Every program but one.
Yep, absolutely. There's only one banner for the U Sports Championship, and we'll hand that out Sunday evening, but still have a lot of hoops to play before we get there. Cone turns it over again to Grassick. Lobs it to DeMong, but read perfectly by Oz.
Good hustle.
Very good hustle, and maybe just a toenail out of bounds. Really good hustle, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Down by 38, it'd be really easy to not make that play, or not try to make that play.
Absolutely.
But this team is not quitting. Grassick with a game-high 19 to DeMong. Ahlstrom spins off Oz.
Another example, just a little bit too easy. Ahlstrom left wide open in that low block.
Yeah, can't lose sight of her.
No, Oz didn't recognize it and finally slid over. And then you got one of the best scorers in Canada West able to really pick how she wants to attack.
Three-pointer there by Louise Rouse.
Yeah, goes from back to the basket, moves to bringing the ball up. Just the variety in her game is unending. And, I was going to say, then hits a three.
Milam there for the rebound. Cone. Nice dish to Milam, and she is fouled. And that will send Sydney Milam to the line to shoot two.
Well, certainly speaking of players that can do lots of different things, we've seen that from Cone all night long. Again, her ability to penetrate, get to the rim, but her awareness, her court awareness just in that situation there, finding Milam. Everyone thinks she's going to take that one up.
I think she should have.
She might. Yeah, I mean, I think coaches might.
She jumps so well,
she does,
right? Like she was quite a bit above Alstrom there. I think if anything, she would have got fouled if she wouldn't have. I mean, again, like they got to the line. It's a great play. I'm not taking away from that, but I think she had it.
Milam has 6 points tonight. Tay Damong remains in the game with 4 fouls. Her team well out in front. Down in the paint. Lewins to Reeder. Off the glass. Nice touch there by Reeder. She's got 7. As Miriam Cohn to Rouse. White jersey swarm Louise Rouse. And a foul is called against Primo.
Just one thing to note, if you're tuning in, and just so you know when the Huskies will play, they will play in the early semifinal on Saturday against the winner of Alberta and Laval, so that'll be 6 p.m. Mountain Time. The later semifinal will feature the Ontario battle of Carleton against Queens. If I'm not mistaken, I think that'll be their 5th matchup of the season. Carleton has won all to date, including the Ontario final.
Which is a little bit scary, right? To beat a team that many times, like that's a tough thing to do.
You know, with 2 good teams, you think at some point it evens out, and we'll get to find out later Saturday night.
Welcome to the broadcaster's jinx.
That's right.
You said it, not us. 2:13 remaining in the 4th. Alexis Lewins.
Well, it's one of the things I was, you know, if the Huskies and Pandas end up meeting again in the semifinal, like they played, I think 3 times this year.
Yep.
Huskies won in 3 very different fashions,
Yep.
right? And it's tough to beat the same team over and over. Like it's very, again, it's cliche to say you learn more from a loss than you do a win, but you do, you know, and you learn more about yourself and your opponent as well. But it's tough to repeat wins over good teams.
Cohn chucks up that 3. Got 15 points.
Well, especially when it's such a, I mean, this is one of the deepest fields we've seen in a Final 8, men or women, for a while. I mean, all 8 of these teams are outstanding teams.
Can West with 4, like such a strong showing this year.
Reeder, 120 remaining. She
Nice
loses
read.
it. Milam to Rouse. And again, we sound like a broken record. It just seems like there's multiple white jerseys always constantly swarming the ball. A foul is called as Louise Rouse to the line. Rouse 6 points tonight. Canada West first team All-Star.
Yeah, and Rouse with those 6 points, 7th in Canada West during the regular season. But interestingly, she only made 5 starts during the regular season, so did a lot of her damage coming off the bench, despite appearing in 19 of Calgary's 20 regular season games.
Reeder almost had that poke loose by Proctor. Lewins. Flindell. A minute remaining in quarterfinal number 3.
Nice.
Nice give and go. Murphy Weeb off balance. And a foul called against, I believe that's going to be Courtney Oz. Picks up 2nd foul. I believe we're going to be joined by Gage Grasick post-game. Chat about her team's, I can say it, her team's victory up by 33.
And the Pandas alumni have just arrived in the building. They had a dinner before this, 150 former Pandas basketball players. And
the block A's are flooding
block
in.
A's are everywhere.
From what I hear, the scratchiest sweater you could ever own. And they are proudly wearing them.
And I hear many costume wearers as well as the block A's tonight, so we'll be intrigued to see what those look like. But
yeah, this gym continuing to fill up. Really good crowd for 2 Canada West teams. I mentioned earlier, the Huskies whether it's football, hockey, any sport in Canada West, Huskies fans travel very well. And of course, a lot of Calgary supporters made the drive up north to root on their team. Hopefully they'll stick around for the games. The rest of the weekend is a tremendous weekend of hoops still ahead of us. Really good first day. Milam to Oz. Puts it on the floor to Milam. Really nice dish there by Oz. And that will likely be the last point scored of quarterfinal number 3. As the Saskatchewan Huskies do damage, and they advance to the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship semifinal with a decisive 85-54 victory over the Dinos. It was all Huskies early and often, Kira. They were really the dominant team tonight.
Yeah, it was, they took hold of that game, and there wasn't a sniff for the Dinos going into that second half. That second quarter really demonstrated how suffocating the Huskies can be, for sure. And unfortunately for the Dinos, just weren't able to find the energy, find the rhythm with each other. But you know, they battled right to the very end. They're hitting the floor and worked hard right until that buzzer went. And like, kudos for them. That's a hard thing to do in such a spread. But yeah, I mean, the Huskies are strong. They're number 1 in the country for a reason, and they really showed that today.
Doug, when you take a look at the box score, you know, it can tell you certain things, but I feel like maybe even the box score isn't doing justice as to how well Saskatchewan played. We talk about how well they played offensively, and some of the stuff they were doing won't show up. They were just suffocating, really, from start to finish.
Well, like we talked about earlier, every Calgary possession was so tightly contested, and Kira alluded to it earlier. When you're playing in that kind of game, you have to work so hard to get every look, and not even always good looks. It's frustrating, it's tiring, and it's something you just have to keep working through. And from my standpoint, message sent by the Saskatchewan Huskies here today, hey, we're here, and we're here to, we mean business. Not that we didn't expect anything other than that, but extremely convincing win here tonight.
I think one of the things, like one of the reasons why it can be so frustrating too is you feel like you're on an island, you know?
Yep.
Offensively, when a team is making you play a way that you're not used to and disrupting the rhythm, you feel like you're attacking 1-on-5, 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 and that's really what that felt like for most of that game. Is, you know, they'd move the ball, and then someone would be brave enough to attack, and they'd have 4 whites all around them, and, you know, they'd try and kick it out and couldn't. They'd get a touch on it, and you really feel, like I said, like you're on an island out there, and it can be not only frustrating but exhausting.
Yep.
And then it's hard to find that energy on the defensive end. When you come back down, you're like, well, great, like we got to stop, but we can't score. So, you know, what use is it almost? No. And it's, yeah, they're a good defensive team. They're a very good defensive team, and against one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. And what did they end up shooting today?
Dinos from the 3-point line, 6 of 21, so 29%. So they got better as the game went on, but still below their 33%, which is good for 3rd in the nation coming in. So they didn't. That's their best shooting performance from the 3-point line all season against the Huskies, but a lot of that came in the second half when the game was effectively over.
Yeah, it was out of reach by the time they started hitting some of those shots, and the pressure was off a little bit, and your white knuckling has ended, and you can kind of shoot a little bit more freely like we talked about.
Saskatchewan joins Carleton and Queens as the 3 teams to punch their ticket to the semifinals. I believe we're going to be joined by Gage Grasick. Well, I don't think so. I think she's going to be celebrating with her teammates, so I don't know if we're going to get player of the game. It's chaotic on the floors. We have to turn this over for quarterfinal number 4, but if we would have joined by a player of the game, it would have been Gage Grasick. 19 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and I think you both hit the nail on the head. Message sent for the Saskatchewan Huskies team. They showed why they're the #1 team, not just in Canada West, but in all of U Sports. Well, we'll close up quarterfinal number 3. Final thoughts for both of you. I'll start with Doug first. What did we learn from this game?
I think we just confirmed what we probably already knew, that the Saskatchewan Huskies are absolutely deserving of the #1 seed. Played a very good Calgary team and didn't give them a sniff all night long. And whoever meets them in the semifinal on Saturday, they got their work cut out, but that's why you play the games.
This gym is getting loud as the Pandas are taking the floor to warm up. Kira quickly, message sent by the Huskies. What is being said in that locker room right now? Clearly the job's not finished yet.
Yeah, like I said, it's never, there's always things that can be done, always things that can be worked on. I think that third quarter, or the one where they scored 24 points, whatever quarter that was, I think it was the third. You know, things that need to be addressed in that. Why did they end up scoring 24? Like, still won that quarter, but we can't have somebody scoring more than 20 in each quarter. So there's always things that can be adjusted, but a lot of confidence, like a wonderful opening to the tournament. That first game can be really daunting and quite scary, to be honest. And, you know, they weren't able to come to this tournament last year, so to finally kind of get over that barrier and get that first game out of the way, I think it's a huge confidence builder, but there's always things to be taken and improved upon, and that's definitely, you know, what they're going to be talking about as well.
85-54, Saskatchewan defeats Calgary in quarterfinal number 3. And still to come, quarterfinal number 4 as the host team, the Alberta Pandas, take on the Laval Rouge et Or. We're going to take a quick pause from this stream. We're going to open up the next one. We'll be back in about 16 minutes. On behalf of Kira Lyons and Doug McLean and our incredible staff here at the Saville Community Sport Centre, thank you for watching. Come on back in 15 minutes and we'll get you set for the Pandas and the Rouge et Or.
I never know which camera